Able to find this Mikado, this 282 on eBay. You can see it's been weathered quite a bit. It's Northern Pacific 3377, and I'm going to start a conversion on this thing to DCC. So before I do that though, we'll make sure it's going to run. So I've got it set up on the MRC Tech 6, and we'll see just what goes on here. This IHC, I am amazed at how quiet these are and how smooth they can operate from a slow speed start So the headlight works. I noticed that a few minutes ago, the first time I tried to run it. It's quite a challenge. I did a 462 IHC, and it turned out really, really great. And I'm going to be using a Digitrax SDH164, and to be able to hook it into the hook it up, I'll be using the Digitrax, the Soundtraxx DBX-9000 wiring kit. And these things are really small and quite a challenge, but we're going to do it. Did it before, we're going to do it again. Okay, so we can start with a tender. Unfortunately, I don't get any papers with this, but I've already done one, so I kind of remember how I did it. It's only been a week. So underneath the rear truck, there's just one little screw. You gotta be careful because you're right near the points for picking up the power. And then this just pops out. Then what we're going to do with this rascal, as you can see, this is the backup light coming off the power pickups. And so the first thing we're going to do is remove this. Just get rid of it. As you can see, there's a couple pickup points on it. And we'll discard that. Soldering iron to warm up. I can take this, open up the Soundtraxx DBX-9000 wiring kit, and all I need out of it right now is just this piece, and this is going to have to mount. As you can see, there's really no room for it here. It's got to stay beside the coupler box, and it needs to go probably right here, but that's the attach point. As you can see, I think you can see it right here, for the shell to go on. So you can't mess with that. So it has to go above it. So what I'm going to have to do is cut right across here and open this up right above this ledge. The other thing I have to do is, to be able to mount it, is this piece right here is in the way. So I'm going to have to cut it off. So I use my X-Acto saw, using this as a guide. We'll cut that off. That'll give me a place to mount. Okay, it gives me a flat surface now, level with this. So So I'll be able to mount this right here, as you can see, and then get access through the front to wire into the locomotive. So hopefully soldering iron is hot now. So we're just going to remove there we go. And same thing here on this end where the wire connects in. We'll remove that. Then it's nothing more than popping the bulb out and the wires through this little clip right here. It doesn't seem to want to come. There we go. Then we can use this somewhere else later maybe. So what we'll do now is we'll start prepping this to be able to take this piece right through there. Okay, using the saw and then the X-Acto knife, we get down to where we're going to need to start working with the file. And I use the little square file. And what I'm going to do is get in here and just clean this up. Just kind of watching it as I go, because I don't want to take off any more than I have to. Just square it. Slowly. So okay, so you can see using files and an X-Acto knife and the saw, I've got this put in here. Once this is wired, mount it in, and then it'll have access right through this opening. So I know if this fits, the male plug will fit easily, going right through that opening. It'll be pretty invisible, which is what you want. And it'll be just a small wire bundle with 6 wires on it when we're done. Okay, so you're going to end up having to get out your Digitrax SDH164 decoder out. And of course, you're going to end up having to hook these wires off, the long wires off this end, into this piece right here. And they're numbered. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 through 9. And what I do is I'll take the Digitrax instructions and I'll start with the green is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at least I have a plan. I know exactly which one of these is going to be what when I start running the wires off the other side. As they plug in, the other side of this has its own little harness that goes to the locomotive. And I know, for example, it's going to plug in just like this, which tells me this wire over here is 1. So I know this wire here is 1. Then I'll know that 1 is my green wire, which I'm not going to use anyway, but then 2 is my red wire that goes to my right pickup. And I have pickups on the locomotive, and I also have pickups back here on the tender, so I'm going to take advantage of both of them. And I'm going to double wire it, so I'm picking up the pickup off the locomotive main drivers, and I'm also going to pick up the right pickup, which comes off of this one, the front one. Then I'll tie those together in the decoder. So we'll start figuring out how to hook these up and solder them in, and I'll show you a couple of them, but there's no sense to spend a lot of time on all of them, because once you do one, the rest of them are the same. But they are tiny. It takes a little bit of a steady hand. Okay, so I've discovered that I really like to use this solder paste. It's Mechanics. Yeah, let's find the tool, which is one of my wife's curler pins that she uses. And you put just a little bit on here. Then you can tin it. And that's it. Now, because you're going to be using double pickups on this, and you know that this is number 8 right here, and you want the wires coming off the top because you want a flat surface to go to. So what I'm going to do is run this wire through the number 8 hole with a little luck. And remember, this is what I like about this clothespin. Now I can use, again, put a little bit of this solder on here. Okay. And then get the wire down where I want it. Touch it. And it didn't work like I wanted it to. There it did. Okay, so it's connected. All I gotta do now is clean it up a little bit. You don't need all that on there, obviously. And then clean off the excess solder. And that's joined very neatly. So this is the feed coming in. So number 8 is the feed coming in from the locomotive pickups, the left side. Then I'll do the same thing with number 2 with a red wire. That'll be the right pickup off the locomotive coming in. Okay, so let's kind of take a look at this just for a second here. So I've got this wired in to the decoder. So I've got the white light for the headlight, the blue light for the headlight, orange wire that's going to go to wherever we are, the orange wire that's going to go to the the motor, the gray wire that goes to the motor, and then the black wire is a wire coming in and the red wire is a wire coming in. So now you get to go to the decoder and pull out, for example, the red wire, which is going to go to the back pickup on the tender. So you kind of have to figure out your length that you want to use to get to this back pickup. And then you're going to tie these together, then have a pigtail coming off to this pickup. So you end up coming into this thing with to the decoder with pickups off the locomotive and the tender both, which really works out really well. working across your switches. So we'll solder those up and see how that looks once we get those hooked up and kind of figure out where we're going to fit the decoder. I know it's going to go right about here. There's a post right here, as you can see in the tender, and so you gotta have to get around this post. So it's going to have to sit in right about here, and then the speaker I'm going to put in at a different type of angle so it's facing back right about there. So that'll give the baffle can be very deep actually. That'll let the sound come out through these holes right here, which will make the sound project back into the locomotive. That's one of the things about a steam engine. The sound coming out of the tender really kind of throws me off a little bit, maybe you too. So I know I'm struggling trying to keep all this stuff in line of sight for the camera, so I apologize for that, but we'll turn this off for a little bit, we'll do a little bit more soldering, and then we'll get ready to put the decoder in and set it up. So okay, so I've got the red wires cut. I'm going to cut just a small piece of shrink.
Yeah, not me. No, the poo-poo, not the fat glue.
My great-grandson's awake, so we're going to have to hear from him, obviously.
I don't want the fat glue. I wanted the poo.
So I've already put the paste on the wires, so we'll tin those. Okay. Then we can twist these two together. Two red wires, which are the right pickups. One off the locomotive and one off of the tender. Just touch it. And that joins that. And I've already tinned the other red wire. And I just dropped and solder those together. Let the solder cool. Make sure you have a good solder joint, which I did not. So we'll try it again. Again, make sure it's really good joint. No, it looks really good. I seem to have lost my piece of shrink, so I'll just cut another one really quick. Put that over the wire. Center it over the joint. This is 3/64. So you can see it's centered over it. I just use my handy dandy little lighter. And you want to be careful not to get too hot. You're just trying to shrink the shrink, not melt your wires. That's all it takes. Then this wire, which is already tinned, as I said, it goes to the back pickup. And that takes care of that. So we'll do the same thing with the black wire. Join them and then hook them into the front pickup, which, as you can see, is the left track. So we'll do that and then get back to this.